This video is for the petition for Antonio Pierre Perkins of the Perkins tribe. He has been held hostage and kidnapped since February the 6th, 2023. The incident happened, he went to court on a fraudulent charge that they had trumped up on him with a fraud. They have fraudulent warrants. You'll get to see that and everything here in a second. And the situation is the young man was going to court on the 6th of February, 2023, and he went to pick a jury. And when he got there, Joe Short, Ben Hale, Gail Wolfenberger, the court reporter, and their family members, literally family members, were there as jurors. Literally their family members, Gail's sister, Ben's friend and his high school teacher, Christy McQueen, the lead prosecutor's niece, one of the Attorney Walker for the court's daughter, officers from the task force, their task force, there to say it was a jury. So he left, he walked out because they hadn't proven jurisdiction. After that, they sent Gary Dorman to kidnap him. He stopped the car that his wife was driving, his girlfriend, and he told them that he was arresting Antonio for driving on a suspended license. He took him to the to the jail for driving on suspended license. His mother went to the jail to pick him up. They told him he would be right out. They immediately rushed him into a patrol car, took him across town to the court after hours. Joe Short, Gail Wolfenberger, Gary Dorman, Ben Hale, the court reporter, and one other deputy was present. Joe Short told him that the jury had convicted him and gave him 15 years. Okay, listen, pay attention. They took him to jail, didn't give him any paperwork from this conviction, this so-called conviction. And Joe Short told him he had exactly 30 days to appeal the decision rendered in their court with him not being there. He had exactly 30 days to appeal the 15 years that he was given. 30 days. They took him back to the jail and booked him in and told him he had 15 years without any paperwork. He called me every day. I made sure he called me so we could be on the phone conversations with the jail. And I asked him to ask them for his legal paperwork stating that he had 15 years, the sentencing order, this document right here. I want to get it here to you. Share. Can you see me? Okay, I want to get right here. This is the document that I'm referring to. This is the sentencing document. Notice this date because it plays an intricate role in what's going on. This is March the 7th, exactly 30 days from February the 6th, 2023, right here. Exactly 30 days. This is the day that they chose to fill out the sentencing order that they told him on the 6th of February that he had 15 years. This is his second, this would be, if it was a lawful case, this would have been his second ever conviction in his whole lifetime. But Ben Hale and Joe Short, on this fraudulent case that they've cooked up, charged him with the habitual, as an habitual offender, and gave him right here 180 months. 180 months, 15 years at 100%. with the habitual, right? And they say here, right, this is all altering documents, fraudulent, falsifying documents, that he's pro se. We're paying attention to that. When his documents that was entered into the court on March the 21st, 2022, he states right here that he's in propria persona sui juris. He states it right here. That means they're altering evidence right here. Right here, they're altering evidence because they changed his plea from March the 21st, 2022 in propria persona to pro se under the authority of under the supervision of an officer of the court, which pleads and puts him under the jurisdiction of the court. I'm just giving you everything so no one would be left in the dark, and everybody will be on the same page. That everybody will be on the same page, right? Okay, let me get here. Okay. Okay, right here. Okay, he changed that. This is the least of the egregious acts that they've done. They held this document exactly 30 days because here in his appeal that they state right here in the sentencing order that there is no appeal on file. They state that right here, that there is no appeal on file as of March the 7th, because he told him in court on February the 6th, once they kidnapped him and brought him back to the court for driving on suspended license. They kidnapped him, brought him back. He told him he had exactly 30 days to appeal. Okay, this action that they've taken by only filing the sentencing order on the 7th is the exact day that his appeal time would be exhausted. So that means that they've committed clerical error, because the clerical error in the prima facie law states that on the surface it appears that it's a procedural defect, because the actions that they've took has prejudiced Mr. Antonio Pierre Perkins from his right to an appeal. They prejudiced him from his right to an appeal because they procedurally stopped him from being able to move any further. He's barred from any proceeding further than the trial court because of this act that they've committed. No one else will be able to see the fraud and concealment of the documents that and the blatant disregard for the rule of law, because they are concealing what they've done by exhausting his time for appeal. Them kidnapping him for 30 days, not having any lawful warrant to have him kidnapped or any sentencing documents to hold him. They put a sentencing document in on the 7th of March. 3 weeks later, a whole month later from the time of him being kidnapped. 3 weeks later from the time that he had an appeal in. So on the 7th of March here, Ben Hill and Joe Short states that there isn't an appeal on record. So as of this date, since there's no appeal on record, he's going to prison for 180 months. He's going to prison for 180 months, can't get any reconciliation because they made a clerical error and said that there was an appeal on record. But Mr. Perkins had an appeal on record right here, appeal on the 14th of February, 3 weeks before they filed this out, and he said he didn't have one on record, but it's filed on court record right here. That means they've disregarded this document, this lawful document that was filed into the court, because here it is again, another file stamp right here, February 14th. And this is the document that they said that isn't on file. And I put in this document something exactly for that. I'm going to read this because this tells you exactly what happened. And I want to highlight it. I want you guys to. Because I want you to see where I'm going and what I'm reading. I want to make it clear. And this is why they try to further conceal their acts of fraud. And I'm going to let you hear the court clerk admitting to what they did and the reason why they did it, and to let you show how egregious these acts really are. Let me read it. I, Antonio Pierre Perkins, was kidnapped on February the 18th, 2022 by Mallory Evans at the direction of Gary Dorman and Justin Crane without due process of law and a Fourth Amendment warrant. I was held for 4 days until February the 22nd when I had a first appearance in front of Joe Short. At that point, I challenged the jurisdiction of his proceeding without proving jurisdiction on the record. He also signed an unlawful search warrant for my red iPhone because it may contain evidence in a drug investigation, not fraud. Any statement or interview that I gave under threat, duress, or coercion was rescinded on the record along with my signature. I also served and placed color of law forms on the record to each individual that chose to violate my rights. This form of prosecutorial misconduct is fruit of a poisonous tree. The court clerk, Gail Wolfenberger's sister, was a part of the jury. So was a family member of Christian McQueen, the prosecuting attorney at the time, her niece. Family members was also part of the jury. And attorney Walker's daughter was also a juror on the jury that being held selected along with Joe Short, which all are conflicts of interest. Joe Short ordered Gary Dorman to kidnap me on February the 6th, 2023 for driving on suspended license. And I wasn't driving the car and bring me to him at the courthouse to a kangaroo court with the following persons being present: Gail Wolfenberger, Joe Short being held, Gary Dorman, another deputy, and the court reporter, to tell me that I had been convicted by that same jury with their friends and family on it, and he was giving me 15 years, and I had 30 days to appeal the void misrepresented bill of attainder in judgment. The following exhibits are of treaties and constitutionals that forming the supreme law of this land, proving that the Circuit Court of Hempstead County Arkansas Criminal Division, Hempstead County Sheriff's Department, Hope Police Department, Joe Short being held, have no lawful jurisdiction over my vessel. I have already filed a habeas corpus, Article 2, Section 11, habeas corpus, Exhibit 1, United Nations Declaration of Rights Indigenous People. Exhibit 2 is the letter from George Washington to Muhammad. Exhibit 3, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Exhibit 4 is everything that I have filed and placed on the record in this case. case number 29CR-22981 affidavit, and then it's going into straight case law, caveat law. It's telling you everything about jurisdiction, and all of the laws that they have broken, lawful protest. It's got everything in the appeal with his signature on it right here. Everything is in this document: jurisdiction, void judgments. Let me get it all here. Everything was addressed: conspiracy against rights, the color of law form, which each one of them was served with, are here. Here we go. Because of what they were doing, being held was served in order to cease and desist these acts of treason and genocide. Duncan Culpepper, Joe Short, Karen Smith, that was supposed to be Keenan Smith, and Gail Wolfenberger. They've all were served with these forms, because this right here, the affidavit for search warrant, I'm going to read this. This is on, this is the warrant signed. This is the first warrant that they had for Antonio, signed on February the 22nd at 1:15 p.m. by Joe Short. This is the first ever. See, here's the warrant right here. Everything's right here. And this is what they got the warrant for, because I want to let you hear on the 18th what Gary Dorman told Antonio's mother when they kidnapped him, because they didn't have a warrant for him. I'm going to let you all hear his mother asking. I'm going to let you hear his mother asking them for the warrant. Give me 1 second. And I'm going to show you how I was able to catch them in their acts of human trafficking, fraud, this egregious acts and blatant disrespect for the rule, disregard for the rule of law is breathtaking. It's these people are these are, in my mind, criminals committing acts as of like these. They do not deserve to hold any office. Here we go. This is this is on the 18th when they've arrested him.
Yesterday and dropped it off to them. But when the judge signed, when I got him out, he should have had all his paperwork and everything. So when the judge signed this release to get him on bond, we didn't get the paperwork showing that the judge signed his paperwork. I mean, for y'all to respond. The judge wouldn't give that to you anyway. We would deliver that paper.
This is about the phone.
You have to buy another phone, holding phone. Probably so, because that phone's going to be in evidence until this case is deposed. Do you have a card with your employee ID and all that, so I can? No, ma'am, I don't. I can't get that either. I'm Gary Dorman. Okay, did you write that down with your employee?
Okay, Gary Dorman is the one that kidnapped him on the 6th and told him that they were going to snatch him out the passenger side of the car for driving on a suspended license. Pay attention. He told him, she said, I come to get my son's property, his phone and all. Y'all didn't give me his phone. He said, we got a warrant for it. This is on the 18th. They don't have a warrant for it, lawful warrant for it, till right here on the 22nd, when the judge signed this warrant, is on the 22nd. Now, you just heard him say that they had a warrant. Okay, this is about them picking him up. She's asking, did they have a warrant for him to arrest him?
I have a hold. So can you talk to my lawyer when I'm up here with you on the phone?
I don't talk to lawyers.
Okay, well, that's what I, you know. Hold up. Where's his phone?
His phone is at the Homeland Security office over in Texas County right now, being distracted. We have a search warrant for that phone.
Okay, can I see the paperwork on it? So
Okay, you just heard Gary Dorman said we have a search warrant for that phone. This is on the 18th. He said is that Homeland Security being extracted. They just took him to jail. They don't have a warrant for the phone to right here on the 22nd. And the reason they had a warrant for the phone, this is why they said that they got a warrant for the phone. Affidavit for search and seizure warrant. Come now before Honorable Circuit Judge Joe Short. Is Sergeant Justin Crane, the undersigned, affiant, a duly qualified and acting law enforcement officer of Hempstead County Sheriff's Department, first being duly sworn upon oath, disposes and says that he has reason to believe upon reasonable cause does believe that in Arkansas State Police Headquarters there is now the following items containing evidence that may assist in a drug investigation. This is why he signed a warrant for a drug investigation. For a drug investigation. But they were charging him with fraud. On November the 24th, Tyrese Thomas, it doesn't say anything about Antonio, was booked into Hempstead County Detention Center and shortly thereafter bonded out and he was charged on his charges. On November the 22nd, Hempstead County Sheriff's Office employee Donna Chisholm issued a check to the inmate account with Farmers Bank account number. He's telling what happened. This is a fraud case that they sent a check to someone that's not Antonio, that has nothing to do with his address, but they tried to tie him. This is what I'm talking about, the fraudulent case. Okay, Joe Short signed this warrant for a drug investigation for his iPhone and the arrest on him and let him bond out on the 22nd. I'm going to stop sharing here because I'm going to go to another screen and I'm going to share again. Okay, I'm going to go here. That's his bond receipt. Right there from bonding out. That's the day he bonded out on the February the 22nd, right here. Bonded out. When Joe Short wrote that warrant, okay. This right here is the same thing. This is all he got that day when he bonded out. This is the paperwork, the only paperwork that they had on file. The only paperwork. We called on March the 4th. They had no warrant, no lawful warrant for his arrest on March the 4th. They had no charges in the court with him. And we asked for the warrant that they had to pick him up on the 18th. They never produced that warrant. Pay close attention because I'm going to show you something now. Incident report. The incident report wasn't conducted or written. This is the report that he would have had to take to Joe Short to get the warrant for Antonio's arrest. It wasn't even written up until March the 4th, 2022, because this is the day that we called and asked for the search warrant for him being locked up. They could not produce it. That means they had kidnapped him, held him hostage for 4 days for something that someone else had. It's right here. This is the incident report. It doesn't have Antonio's name on anything going on up here. Okay, he's out. This is the first report. We're constantly asking them about this arrest warrant for the 18th. They don't have it. So they're trying to cover up and conceal the fraud that they've committed in the kidnapping that they've done to this young man. So he's put his paperwork in and he's asking them to produce all of this information. All of this information, what gave them the right to do what they did to him. It's all in here. right here. They never produced. They offered Tonio, they said, if you take this 6 months probation, we'll let you go. That was to get them off the hook. And they wanted him to sign paperwork to say that he wouldn't sue them for what they did to him. He wouldn't do it. So they decided to try to say, we're going to proceed without jurisdiction and probable cause, because he got paperwork on the record for change of venue, all of that. They ignored all of that to give to another judge. So they kidnapped him February the 6th. Take him to jail at 6 some at night. Take him back to the courtroom in front of Joe Short. He sits back in his chair and tell him, well, the jury gave you 15 years. I'm giving you exactly 30 days to appeal it. They knew in their mind that he would never appeal it, because this is something that they do a lot. This is another individual that we have cases on, Kenneth Stewart. Okay. This is his appeal that had went to the Supreme Court that got denied. The only reason it got denied, because they had did similar things to this to him unlawfully, is that we therefore agree with the circuit court that Stewart's post-conviction petition was untimely and that Stewart's sentence was legal. So they're telling him here that he did not file his appeal in the right amount of time, and therefore that his conviction was therefore illegal. And it was somehow legal. And this is how they got there, because his appeal was in on time, but it wasn't on the record. You see, they blatantly, on the 6th right here of February, told him he had 30 days. They didn't even fill out any paperwork to the 30th day. And on the 30th day, on the sentencing order that would go downstate, that would also go up to the appeals court, it states right here, they say that he has no appeal on the record. That clerical error is a judicial procedural defect. It prejudiced Antonio's right to an appeal. Prima facie law, on the surface, this is they procedurally stopped him from being able to go any further than trial court. They barred him from being to go further from trial court. And the only remedy to this prosecutorial misconduct, this clerical error, is that the only remedy for this clerical error is would be to dismiss, so that the court can maintain the appearance of propriety, and to uphold the integrity of the bar. The only thing they could do was dismiss it, because they blatantly concealed all evidence that could free this man, and their fraud. Their fraud, they're concealing it with these documents, and it's right here in your face. Being held, and Joe Short signed these documents. I'm about to let you hear the clerk of the court explaining the reason why they did this in our interaction. And I think this would be sufficient to get signatures on this petition. These people should be arrested and brought to justice immediately. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. This is the interaction with me and Gail Wolfenberger, the court clerk, about this egregious act that they committed.
Waiting out on one.
I'm going to take it off of that Bluetooth. Give me a second. Let me see if it's clearer now.
One, to reach the circuit clerk. Press 2 to reach the county assessor. Press.
How you doing, Miss Wolfenberger?
Circuit Clerk's office.
Yes, Max, who I'm speaking with.
This is Gail.
How you doing, Miss Wolfenberger? I'm calling on behalf of Antonio Perkins and his paperwork that was filed on the 14th, his appeal paperwork that was filed on the 14th, and then the original documents were brought in on the 16th. He's been incarcerated since February the 6th. He hasn't received those documents. And when he got some sentencing papers yesterday, some misrepresented bills of attainder, it showed that he didn't have an appeal on file. And as of the 7th, it was 30 days exactly to when Joe Short told him that he couldn't appeal. His appeal was in on the 14th, 10 days later. So by him marking that on that document, him and Bill, they committed fraud by saying that appeal paperwork wasn't in when it was clearly in with your court stamp on the 14th. That's concealment of evidence that could free that young man. And that's an egregious act against the rule of law. If things like that are happening, that's
He was offered probation.
I'm not talking about, that doesn't give anyone the right to go outside the laws of this land. That doesn't give anybody the right to fraudulently mark on paperwork that his appeal wasn't in when it clearly was. All of this is going to the Attorney General in Arkansas and in DC today. And we have the documents to prove what happened. Now, you know that his appeal was in, so who breached their oath of office and their menstrual duties by not filing it to the record and making sure that hostage didn't have his legal documentation, because that's on the court clerk to file that into the record, and he has a document on file binding you to your menstrual duties. He has that document on file.
It was filed the day it came in.
But on the paperwork that Joe Short filled out and Ben Hale filled out was that he didn't have an appeal on file, as if he didn't file his appeal within time. So when it would say that it was appeal on record, oh, well, it wasn't filed in time. That was the plan that you all had. So what you did to him, all of the fraudulent warrants.
Paperwork, then it comes in.
Well, why does that sentencing document have that there's not an appeal on record? The document that goes down state, why does that has that he never filed an appeal when it was clearly on the record on the 14th? You're bouncing around that fraud that was committed, that blatant act of concealment.
He really needed an attorney.
He didn't need an attorney. Why would he need an attorney? That has nothing to do with you guys falsifying documentation.
He wouldn't even be in jail.
If he had an attorney, he wouldn't even be in jail. Okay, well, let's talk about the habitual that was placed on those charges when he only had one previous charge, and you have 4 previous convictions.
Like I said,
And then no. Did the jury hear the habitual case? Did he have a chance to defend himself on the habitual case? No, because everything that you're no, Miss Wolfenberger, Miss Wolfenberger. You guys have done everything totally wrong from the beginning. You haven't followed any bench rules, any Arkansas code anointed, no United States code anointed. Why is it on the sentencing document that paperwork is not on file, the appeal? Why did they mark on that document?
Order. They were working on the sentencing order when we were filing the paperwork here.
Well, I'm at you. That was done yesterday. And okay, I had to stop her because she lied. She said they were working on the sentencing order when I was filing the paperwork on the 14th. She lied. They weren't working on the sentencing order until the 7th, and I had to tell her that. And on the 14th, Ben was in the office when his mother filed the paperwork, and we have that recording as well. We have that recording as well. I'll let you hear that recording as well, but I'm going to continue. They don't know everything that goes on in the courtroom. I mean, in the clerk's office.
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope. Why would he need an attorney? That has nothing to do. She's going to tell me that she's the court clerk, the judge, and the prosecutor. They don't know what's going on with each other. That's what she just told me. Listen. As falsifying documentation.
He wouldn't even be in jail.
If he had an attorney, he wouldn't even be in jail. Okay, well, let's talk about the habitual that was placed on those charges when he only had one previous charge, and you have 4 previous convictions.
Like I said,
and then no. Did the jury hear the habitual case? Did he have a chance to defend himself on the habitual case? No, because everything that you're no, Miss Wolfenberger, Miss Wolfenberger. You guys have done everything totally wrong from the beginning. You haven't followed any bench rules, any Arkansas code anointed, no United States code anointed. Why is it on the sentencing document that paperwork is not on file, the appeal? Why did they mark on that document?
Order. They were working on the sentencing order when we were filing the paperwork here.
Well, I'm at you. That was done yesterday. And okay, they don't know everything that goes on in the courtroom. I mean, in the clerk's office.
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, hold up. I want to ask you this. Excuse me. Well, I want to be clear with this. Okay, so they filed that paperwork, putting February the 6th at the top. He gave Antonio 30 days to appeal. On the 7th, on the 30th day, he filed sentencing documents. Finally, after y'all had him over 30 days in jail, he finally gets a sentencing document that says on the 7th, the 30th day, to file an appeal. And when you file the sentencing document, you have on the sentencing document that there's not an appeal on file, but that appeal was on file 14th of February, 10 days later. So if that's not concealing information that can free that young man and covering up fraud and deceit, I don't know what is. And you can't explain it, and you can't justify it.
I'm not an attorney.
But you're a clerk of the court, so you should know something about law. I had to get this on the record and recording, and I had to get your statements on record and recording, because all of this is prosecutorial misconduct at its finest.
The notice of appeal was filed on 2/14 of 23.
It's why did the judge Joe Short why did Judge Joe Short
sentencing order and the prosecutor's short report was filed, but the appeal was filed on 2/14.
Oh, why did Judge Joe Short and Ben Hale file that there wasn't an appeal on record 30 days after? Why did they do that paperwork 30 days exactly?
Find out that they said that there wasn't an appeal.
It's marked on the paperwork that goes down to the Arkansas Department of the Corrections that there's not an appeal on file. And when you put that there's not an appeal on file after the time has been exhausted, when he finds out that when he find I don't want to go to any office. It seems like you guys conspired. When she got caught in the lie, and when she realized that it really was on the paperwork, that what they had conspired to do, because we have recordings of them conspiring to do this, to kidnap and take hostage a young man and take him away from his family for 15 years for nothing. And she just said he wouldn't even be in jail. Yes, he would, because you guys were setting him up. And this is what they do. They've done it over and over again. As in Kenny Stewart, the same thing they did here, they did to this inmate. And when he did his appeal, when he got to jail, they sent an amendment to his sentencing document without bringing him back before the court, and gave him more time on the same habitual, the same way, when it doesn't apply to him. Prosecutorial misconduct. These people are egregious in their acts, and this criminal act of kidnapping, breaking Title 18 of the United States Code is egregious. It's human trafficking at its finest, and this must be addressed. And these people are to be resigned and arrested immediately. How could someone hold an oath of office and are doing egregious acts like this? Even after being called on it and being ordered to cease and desist the illegal activity, Ben Hale and Joe Short, of what they've done. Everything is right there in law, wrote down what they've done. And these are the signatures from the people who all saw what these people did. These are the signatures of the people that witnessed this fraud. We have all of the recordings. We have numerous recordings of them in their bravo saying, we don't care. We don't care, because he wouldn't let us off the hook for kidnapping him and signing probation so he could be convicted and sent to prison. Because if you get convicted, your probation is broken. You see? But if he didn't take the probation, they were hitting him with the habitual. You see what I'm saying? How do you go from probation and habitual in the same citizen when it's on the paperwork. You see the blatant lies that they tell, the chicanery. And now she says, oh, forget the clerical error we made. He should have had an attorney. He should have had an attorney because he pled in propria persona sui juris, as you can see right here. But they altered evidence on the sentencing document and said that he pled pro se. They altered the evidence and said that he pled pro se. That's another fraud. Because this is why they wanted him to get an attorney. In propria persona, this is Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, in one's own proper person. It is a rule in pleading that pleas to the jurisdiction of the court must be pled in propria persona, because if pled by attorney, they admit the jurisdiction as the attorney is an officer of the court. He did not want to be up under that court or that authority after all of this fraud, deceit, unlawful warrants for drug cases, charging him with fraud. Being held, signature again, here he is. These are the charges of fraud. Ben Hill also states in this document that he has jurisdiction when law requires that it has to be placed on the record. He said Arkansas Code section 5-1-111 requires evidence to be admitted that affirmatively shows that the court lacks jurisdiction and venue. That's not the law. The law states right here, as I get it to you, the law states right here Higgins versus Levine, the law requires proof of jurisdiction to appear on the record of the administrative agency in all administrative proceedings. It says here, jurisdiction can be challenged at any time, and jurisdiction once challenged cannot be assumed. It must be decided. Once challenged, jurisdiction cannot be assumed. It must be proved to exist. So that's a stark contradiction to what Ben says here. Ben tells him that he has to prove that they don't have jurisdiction. That's not how the law reads. Once he challenges jurisdiction, they have to prove it before they can move forward. They can't go forward until they prove it. There's right here, I'm gonna go right here. There's no discretion to ignore lack of jurisdiction. The law provides that once state and federal jurisdiction has been challenged, it must be proved. It must be proved. So I guess ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? So this is how they answer lawful documents with unlawful documents. An attorney can't answer an affidavit of fact that was sent to the judge. All of these people are concealing this fraud that they kidnapped this young man without a warrant. And they tried to threaten him into signing probation so that he would let them off the hook. And when he didn't, they took criminal acts and treason to a whole nother level by falsifying this document and making a clerical error stating that an appeal wasn't on the record with, as the clerk said, it was filed right here. She filed it on the 14th. And Ben Hill was in the office with her when his mother filed it. He was in the office with her when his mother filed it. This is his mother filing at the court.
Have his appeal papers, and they said on that sentencing paper is showing that he did not have no appeal filed, so he never got the papers.
Okay, who didn't get the papers?
My son didn't get me, didn't show nothing that he got.
Okay. I mean, let's say,
This is Gail Wolfenberger acting like she doesn't know about the appeal papers.
And I came in on the 16th.
right. There it is. Just making sure I had the right one.
And they stated on this record that he does not have no appeal papers filed.
I don't know, all I can do is, this is all I can show.
You see, that's Gail. That's the same lady. All I can do. I don't know what you're talking about. But the conversation you just heard earlier, she knew everything about it. But when his mother's there asking about this, she don't know anything about it. Are we going to sit here and let these kind of tyrannical actors destroy our people and the foreign hybrids, the Europeans? They're getting treated the same way by these unlawful beings. These people, this blatant disregard for the rule of law cannot go unnoticed and unchecked. So we're going to end this, and I'm going to put the petition on it. And you guys, please sign this petition, because it doesn't get any worse than this. I'm going to stop sharing, and please, you guys, thank you.